Hey guys, good morning. It's Tony. Before I start the video, I do want to say please like, subscribe, and comment. If you want to join the Patreon, please join at patreon.com/but I'm not a trader. Surprisingly, I mean, not surprisingly, but there have been a lot of people joining recently. And as you guys do know, I've already locked my first tier, and then tier 2 and 3 are at a limited cap, and it's filling up fast. So if anybody wants to join before I migrate over to my website for a lower cost, that's great. I'm just letting you guys know you don't have to, but I am warning you that instead of the initial, 10, $20 that I charge on Patreon, on my website, it will be minimum like $500 just because, I've already done this for, like a year or two now, and it's just, there's too much value in what I offer to keep it at $10, $20, bro, So I'm just being honest, right? It's really just trying to be transparent with you guys. If you guys want to join, it's more of a cost basis for everybody. Again, my tiers are locked at specific memberships. So tier 1 is already locked, sold out. You can't get it for that price anymore. Tier 2 and 3 are up. If you guys want to choose to join, great. If you cannot, then that's fine. If you're having trouble with the link, I'll post it here. It's www.patreon.com/but I'm not a trader. I'll post it in the description and I'll throw it in the comments, right, if I remember. But that's basically, that's as much as I can kind of help you guys out, right? So somebody asked for a TA on Tesla. I'm going to go through this really quickly for you guys. And this is essentially the stuff that I, kind of teach in the chat. That's how a lot of people are essentially funded, But usually I like to start off on the weekly and running some parallel channels. And again, I have ran a lot of, support and resistance. Actually, do I like this better? A little bit lower? Nah, I like this better. Yeah, I like that better. So usually what I do is, before I did like to run support and resistance on the weekly. So I'd probably go in and start adding support and resistance on the weekly and stuff and look for breakage. But I found that, channels actually work extremely well. And I actually really like running them because they're so simple and easy to actually build out, right? And if you want to learn specifically how to create these, what to look for and stuff, then again, you can join the Patreon and stuff. And you can learn there, right? But first off, let's go and start grabbing some channels here for ourselves. There you go. These all seem to work relatively well. I think I can probably come back and, modify them a little bit just so they can actually be a little on the, what is it called? A little bit more on like the perfected side. I think here, what if we do this? Here, let me see if I can do this for you guys. Let me see, what do we run this parallel on the bottom channels here? Like right there on the low end. This would actually be a little bit lower. This would have to come down. Oh, we can't see the top. There you go. Right there. Or do I like it better down here? Actually, I like that. Let me see if we can run it this way with a little bit more accuracy. So the reason I like running these like so perfectly is because I do like having this where I can set it up on the weekly and I don't have to look at it again for like a very long time, right? So that's why I like being very, very perfect and precise with these channels on the weekly. So this seems like it's working a little bit better, right? And we do have, and as opposed to running this, right, on the top trend, right, on the top points, right? So again, you have 3 points up here on the trend. As opposed to running it up here, I'm running it down here on these 2 points, pushing this to the upside, right? And it does look like this is hitting a little bit better because I did want this mid-channel point here to touch, right? And as of right now, because we did close a weekly bear trigger right here, right? I am looking, let me see, because we are there we go, yeah. I would say for right now, I could see a pump on Tesla. I would not be surprised to see Tesla go back to like a 192 before selling off again, or maybe halfway decent point. So what I'm guessing could happen, right? And again, I like running these channels because they're so stinking accurate. So shout out to Steve. He's my boy. He's actually the one who put me in on these channels and stuff. And then, it kind of expanded into running them off of multiple channels like this. And that's where I found out that we actually have like some really nice setups like this where you can run the channels and then run subset of channels to actually get really, really precise, areas of interest, right? So again, I ran that subset and already, right, you have multiple spots here where you can already see that there's a lot of interest, right? Multiple rejections right here, this area. So I could definitely see us right now doing one of two things on Tesla, right? So you did hit the bottom of this trend and you closed the bull trigger. So I'd definitely say minimum, I am looking for a bounce back to 178. But because we did close a trigger on the weekly, I'd say at most, at least for right now, I'm looking for a bounce up to 178 minimum before you essentially drop down to like a 117. And that sounds like a really, really hard drop from here, but that is essentially what I think will probably happen right now, right? You could actually do this. You could actually run from here, right? To mid-trend like that, and then maybe drop or something like this, and then run it to the upside, right? It really just depends on what you're, like, for example, what channels you're looking at and what your time frame is. But as far as the weekly goes, like, you did close a bear trigger on the weekly, and usually these tend to be a little bit more violent on Tesla, right? So again, once you closed it last time, you had 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks of a continuous fall off, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. We could keep dropping on Tesla for the next, I'd say month or so. So I'm definitely very bearish on Tesla, and also the market bias for myself right now is definitely bearish, right? Because you have QQQ closing that 2 week, you have SPY already signaling that 2 week, right? So whenever SPY and QQQ close that 2 week trigger on my indicators, generally like 95% of the time you can associate it with the market sell-off, right? Of at least 10 to 20%. So overall, I'm biased bearish on the whole market right now. I do think, like I said, Tesla can probably run up to maybe like 178, back to like mid here. Like I said, when you run that subset on the channel, you have a mid-channel, you have like a mid-trend right here. So I definitely say you can probably come back to like a 180-ish before dropping back down to like 157 and then ultimately to like 117 because it does look like Tesla's going to keep dropping. And you have a small gap right here, right? You do have a small gap. So I do think that Tesla for right now, let me see. I can probably run, yeah, I could probably run this. Let me see. Yeah, your range is here, so I could definitely, if you break or close above here, I can definitely see us going all the way to like 179, 178 before coming right back down. And you have earnings coming up soon. I think last time they got like destroyed. Yeah, so I don't expect, I really don't expect much out of Tesla, and I do expect Tesla to go lower. So I would not be surprised if you do push a little bit back to like 180-ish before ultimately dropping lower back to like a 156. But I do think that with earnings coming up, if their earnings comes back just as bad as before, you're going to be seeing Tesla at like 115 pretty soon. So yeah, I'm overall pretty bearish. I don't think that Tesla will do well, right? Like I said, I do think that you might have a small push to back to like 180 max to like 194 before having a really nice sell-off on, towards earnings, right? So again, if earnings comes out like ridiculously well, which doesn't seem to be the case, Tesla can go back to like 230, right? Depending on earnings. But because the market is biased, like bearish on the bear side, right? And, the recent earnings was really bad. I don't think that you'll push up more. I think max you can see is like 196 from here. I do think you bottomed here, right? So I do think you're probably headed to at least back to 179 short term, probably 180. Max you can probably see is 195. But if we hit 195, I'm definitely open to heavy shorts if you hit 195 before earnings, right? Because I do think that earnings will probably be pretty bad for Tesla. So if you keep pushing up, that's fine. That's great. But I think max target for me on Tesla would be 180, 195. I'd definitely be open to shorting Tesla at 195 if you hit it before earnings. And I think earnings, if it comes out really bad, you're more than likely headed down to this mid-trend at like 115. So I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.